So ironically enough, I was just talking in the Wisdom of Odin Discord with some other people about Loki shenanigans, and turns out I just sat down to record a whole video about um, the journey to the underworld as an allegory for shadow work. And not only did my phone run out of storage space right when I was almost done recording, it therefore, for some reason, did not save that entire video that I just sat down and filmed. So here's take number 2. Thanks, Loki. So yeah, today I'm here to talk to you about the journey to the underworld myth as an allegory for shadow work, because I ended up doing a lot of that in 2020 inadvertently. I've only been trying to become a practicing Norse pagan since the end of August, early September. But this past year, just being what it was, I have been working from home. I was home a lot by myself, and so I think I ended up just kind of doing a lot of what I now know is called shadow work in the pagan community. I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time. I thought I was just, having a series of concurrent mental breakdowns or like breakthroughs about my mental state. But hey, it turns out it was both. So, anyway, yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch briefly on all of these common myths that we see in different cultures throughout history and throughout the world that all deal with this story of a god, demigod, hero, heroine, all centering around this story of the person having to go on a quest or a journey to the underworld. And the underworld, this journey to the underworld being a metaphor or an allegory for doing shadow work. So there's a lot of different myths, including in Norse mythology, that have an underworld, and in which you'll see several stories of people journeying to the underworld for various purposes. Let's see, in the Norse myths we have Hel, who is the daughter of Loki, and another Jotun named Angerboda, who is the one who gives birth to Hel and a lot of his other quote-unquote monstrous children. But yes, Hel is usually depicted as a girl or a woman who is half alive or half beautiful and half pale or cold or dead or deceased. So you'll see her depicted a lot as like half alive and then half like a skeleton, things like that. But yeah, she was set to rule or preside over Helheim or Hel, the realm of the dead within the 9 realms of Norse mythology. But to me, there's a lot of commonalities between this version of the underworld and like the Greek version of the underworld, in the sense that the myths have several different afterlives, and which one you go to, it kind of depends on like who you are and what you did in life or how you died. So you would have like the Elysian Fields in Greek mythology, which to me is very similar to like Folkvanger, which is Freya's realm, where she takes her half of the valiant slain, and then you have the other half which go to Odin and Valhalla. And for the majority of people, they just kind of end up in the underworld, Hades. And then I can't remember. It's been a while since I've touched up on Greek myths, but you also had Tartarus, but I can't remember if Tartarus was like the bad place where you go to actually get punished, like what we would think of as hell, like the Christian hell, or if it's more like, I can't remember if Tartarus, the term, is for that, or if it's more like what I think of hell is just kind of like a shadow realm, or like where what the Greeks or the Romans would call your shade, or your soul would just go live. It's kind of more like a purgatory or a limbo. It's not really bad or good. It's just kind of like the upside down in Stranger Things, but not gross. It's just kind of, yeah, a shadow version of Earth, of your life on Earth. Like for example, when Balder dies and goes to live in hell, they feast him and they treat him very well, and hell is a perfect hostess for him, and him and his wife and everyone are just kind of having a good old time, like they would be on Earth. So don't get it twisted. The Norse version of hell is not scary. It's not bad. From what I've come to know of hell, she's strict, but like she's Brooke's no nonsense, but she takes her. It's because she takes her duty, her job very seriously. Like she cares. She gives a damn about the people that are under her purveyance. So yeah, it's not a bad place to end up there. Balder goes there, and then we'll see in the sagas many heroes, including Odin himself, often journey to hell or to the gates of hell to seek wisdom, to seek magical objects, or in the case of like Odin and Hermod, which has a lot of similarities to Hermes in terms of being able to travel between the different worlds, and kind of act as a messenger, aside from their names sounding similar. They go to hell to try to negotiate for Baldur's release, among other things. Odin often travels there to consult with the deceased Volva or seeresses for knowledge. And then what's become one of my favorite tales is the tale of Svipdag, which I think is Fjolvid's where he goes on a quest to rescue Menglod, who I think is Freya, from the giants, and win her as his bride. And so he engages in a battle of wits with the giant, like Odin like Odin often does in a lot of the stories. And you see him, Svipdag, go to the gates of hell to consult with a witch who was his mother, before he goes to get some knowledge. So yeah, you see Odin, Balder, Svipdag, many gods traveling to and from Helheim in search of knowledge, prophecies, in pursuit of some quest or goal. And then there's a lot of other myths, especially in like Greek mythology. You have Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus travels to the underworld to try to rescue his wife. I think Hercules might go there at some point. He does in the Disney movie. And then, most importantly for me, in the Sumerian myths, we have Inanna, who is the Queen of Heaven. And Inanna, in one of her stories, one of the few that we have, she is definitely like she's a benefactress to mankind, whereas in a lot of other cultural mythologies, it's like the gods who bestow gifts on mankind, like Apollo gives medicine, and you give food and learning and all of that and all those good things. In the Sumerian myths, it's kind of awesome because Inanna is the one who controls what are called the Mies, which is all of the knowledge and culture that makes up society, and all of the good things that we enjoy in life, like even how to make beer, how to make and apply cosmetics, all of that good stuff. Like, she gave us the hookup on everything, y'all. And in one story, Inanna goes on a journey to the underworld where she has to negotiate with her sister slash like shadow self, if you ask me, whose name is Ereshkigal. and she's the ruler of hell. And so Inanna has to go there and try to bargain to get back her deceased lover, who is the dying and resurrected shepherd god slash farmer god, grain god, Dumuzi or Tammuz slash, Adonis slash Dionysus slash Balder, tale as old as time. But anyway, so yeah, she goes on a journey to the underworld. So it's a very common reoccurring theme, and our like collective unconscious, as Jung would put it. So to me, the journey of the underworld is an allegory for shadow work, and so especially this time of year, it being winter, it's the kind of the dormant part of the year. Everything is lying fallow, sleeping, dead, however you want to put it. And so now, to me, is the perfect time of year for shadow work. Like this is the time when that dark goddess energy is kind of presiding over the world and is most active in the world. And now Merlin came in here to scratch on a box while I'm in here. Awesome. So you'll probably hear that. Okay, before I was so rudely interrupted by my cat. Nope, he's not done yet. So yes, journey to the underworld is metaphor for a journey inward to confront your shadow self, which I ended up doing a lot of this year unknowingly, because the road to hell usually requires you to basically humble yourself, let go of all of your trappings of life, everything that makes you you, your sense of importance, your sense of entitlement. Odin, Hermod, Inanna, in their journeys, they're all required to kind of strip themselves of all their gold, jewels, and kind of come to the Queen of Hell humbled on bended knee in her realm. You really have to put your ego aside when you confront your shadow, because it's all about confronting our flaws, confronting those parts of ourselves that we don't want to acknowledge that we have, those darker parts, or just those traits that society doesn't deem acceptable or normal. So it could be anything from traumas that you've repressed to just like your inner child who has been oppressed, just from being tamped down or corrected or rejected throughout your life. And so for me, what 2020 basically just involved was a lot of soul searching, a lot of me just kind of having a lot of breakdowns, a lot of roadblocks put in place in my life over and over again, and me just kind of having to look inward, take a step back, and try to examine what might be in the way that I'm behaving, or in my thought patterns or behavior patterns that I'm not even realizing, that might be keep landing me in these situations in life. What's outdated, what's not serving me anymore, what do I need to prune away and let go of, so that I can be who I want to be and go where I want to go in life. So yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a painful process for me. It involved a lot of like crying alone in my room, crying for that inner child. Just crying for that like hurt, neglected, emotional part of the self that had been like buried and rejected for so long. And so it really involves a lot of, what is my number one tenet in life, which are the words that are engraved above the door to the oracle at Delphi, which is know thyself. And that includes knowing your flaws, knowing what you might be doing that's impacting you negatively, or, as our great Lord and Savior RuPaul says, that inner saboteur. who's your inner saboteur? Like, what parts of you are getting in your way that you need to acknowledge? Because only once we do that, as painful and as hard as it can be, you ultimately can't let go of it and can't heal from it until you confront it, until you bring that shadow self back up to Midgard, into the material world, into the light of day, examine it, confront it, accept it, and like integrate it back into yourself. That's what I've been trying to do. That's what I will be continuing to do this year. And yeah, it's an ongoing process, you know. I'm in my 30s, and I thought I was done with a lot of that already, you know. I thought I had already done a lot of the work on myself, because I try to always be a very self-aware person. I think because I know that I am ruled very easily by my emotions and can get very emotional. So yeah, hi Merlin. Merlin's gonna rub on the camera now, because he's very nice. Yes, hello. But yeah, it's just involved a lot of soul searching, a lot of accepting those flaws, but not attempting to just, you know, throw the whole Amy out, like throw the whole person out. You don't have to like completely reject who you are right now and hate yourself as a person to reach enlightenment or to want to better yourself. That's not what this journey is about. It's about learning to love those parts of yourself that aren't easy to love, because if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen? But yeah, so that's kind of just what I wanted to touch on in this video, is that allegory of journeying to the underworld, journeying within yourself during this time of year, because that hell energy is very predominant right now. We're going through that shift in cycles with the end of one year and going into the next. So yeah, it's all about that radical change, or like what I always think of is the death card in tarot, which, you know, you see that and you're like, oh, death, scary, bad, but that's not what it means. It's a death and rebirth. It's a cycle. It's throwing those old parts of yourself, those toxic negative behaviors into the fire so that the phoenix can be reborn from the ashes. So yeah, in a lot of ways I am trying to make it like new year, new me, but yeah, it's not about totally hating yourself as a person. It's just about, yeah, like acknowledging that, you know what, we are flawed. We're only human. Nobody's perfect, not even the gods, and they don't expect that out of us. They just expect us to want to acknowledge what we need to work on and just always be working on it, always be striving for better. Now, right now during this time of year, when that dark goddess energy is kind of reigning still, as we, you know, went through that waning part of the year through the solstice, with the dying sun god, then he kind of, you know, is dormant within the earth mother goddess's womb of like the underworld, you know, as everything's in that state of like potential energy, is how you can think of it. Like, this is the state to start harnessing and nourishing that potential energy, that Ingwaz rune. Shout out Vayner vibes. Yeah, during this time, I think these dark underworld goddesses, these keepers of the keys, these ladies of the liminal spaces between, are really calling on all of us to put in that work, to cocoon ourselves and really look within, and do that shadow work, as long and painful and treacherous a journey as it can be sometimes. And, you know, and the road to hell is one that we all have to walk alone, and our paths are our own to walk, however we see fit. But, one of the kind of uplifting things, at least, about finding this nice community of online pagans is that we at least don't have to go through the journey entirely alone anymore. You know, we can support each other on the way. So yeah, this is the time. This is the time for healing, for resolution. And like I said, it's not over. I was still in the midst of it even like last week. You know, I thought that even over like the last 2 months or like going into Yule that I was done with it, or that like, yeah, I'm in my 30s, I'm done with it. No, like even last week I was still finding stuff like in the vault of my mind that I was like, oh no, Amy, you thought we were done. No. We still have some more boxes that we can drag out that you thought was dead and buried, but no, it turns out we were just hiding them for now. So we have more stuff you need to go through and examine and get rid of. So, so yeah, that was fun. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm kind of trying to go into it with that outlook of new year, new me. But at the same time, just kind of giving myself that love and forgiveness and permission to stop trying to be such a perfectionist and being so hard on myself. Like, I know there's a lot that I still want to work on and improve, and a lot of things that I want to keep striving to invest my energy in, like this, and in like all these witchy things that I'm trying to learn about. But yeah, it's one step at a time. It's not going to happen overnight, and sometimes you might feel like you're taking one step forward, 2 steps back, but we're all works in progress. So hang in there, team. We will make it. So I guess I will leave this video there. As always, let me know if there's anything you want me to go into further, or any other gods or random nerdy topics you want me to talk about. I got it all up here. So yeah, until next time. What you stopped at? Mama's doing stuff. Cat fur stuck to my lipstick. That's what I get for wanting to be pretty for y'all. Eternal cat hairs and everything is my life.